Welcome friends, today we're talking about spawning and this spawn amount. Do you like something like this where you're out in the snow biome, which is a higher level biome? And you look around and there's like one zombie there, there's one there. Oh, there's one over there as well. So there's like three or something in the neighborhood. And then you kill them. Kill. Then you kill those as well, and then it takes the game about 3 days in game time before you actually get anything back. This is especially prevalent on multiplayer servers. So you basically kill them and then it takes hours before you see any new zombies in the area. Boring, right? Well, there's one more. Or do you like something like this? This is the same world. I just respawned after making the changes, and look at here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You saw him spawn right before my eyes. 9, 10. Look at all this, all these zombies around. I'm flying because they will get pulled in otherwise. If I look around here, we're not talking about 1 or 2. We're not even talking about just 10. There's probably something like 20 plus zombies in the area, and I think they're still spawning because it takes a while for them to spawn in. Look at this. This is a lively, well, how do you call it? Lively? Undeadly? Is that even a word? Well, a deadly amount of zombies that are spawning because I increased the spawn rates. This might be a bit too much for you, but it shows what you can do by editing the XML files. For me, this might be a little bit too much, but maybe somewhere in between, where instead of just having 1 or 2 per every 3 days in game, you end up having 10, maybe 15 that respawn faster, and it's easy to do. And I'm going to show you 3 ways how to do it. First, I'm going to show you how to do it by editing the actual game files. This is the easiest, but it will not survive an upgrade, meaning that once we are in alpha 21.2 or 3, etc., your changes will go away. So it's not the best way. Secondly is to make a small little modelet that keeps the changes in it, so when the main game version upgrades, well, the modelet still works and you don't have to make any changes. All 3, simply download my modelet and don't have to make it yourself. That's the fastest way. So while those zombies are in the background, let me show you how to do these 3 steps, starting with number 1. Bring up your Steam client. You probably want to make sure the game is closed when you're doing this because you're going to need to restart the game anyway. You go to Properties, Install Files, and Browse. That will pop up the directory of the game files. You go down to Data, you go down to Config, and we're looking for Spawning, which determines how and when things spawn in the world. So you right click it and you edit it. Either I use Notepad++, but you can use the regular Notepad. And you get a file like this. This is the spawning.xml that basically says that I'm going to walk you through a little bit here just to understand the structure of it. For the pine forest, this is the biome. We're in the snow, so this is the pine forest. It basically says it will spawn 1 zombie in a given area, and there's a respawn delay of 2.9. This is basically hours, 3 to 2.9 hours during the day, and this is the group zombies, all just the general zombies and not the downtown industrial or commercial, meaning just outside. We have at nighttime the same thing, except the respawn delay is a little bit longer, nighttime and zombies night. What this means is that, as you saw initially, you will get 1 zombie. When it's killed, it will take almost 3 days before it respawns again. Not a lot. And the same goes down for, you have the other groups, meaning that you have commercial, industrial, and then you have the downtown, and then you have the animals. And what we're going to do, we're going to actually be changing these ones. So let's say we want to have 2 instead. So in just the wilderness, we're going to have 2 instead of 1, and we're going to change the respawn to, let's say, 1.5 days. So instead of it taking 3 days, it's going to take half the amount of time. We're doubling the amount. We're reducing the respawn by half, which means that we get a 4x change in the amount of zombies. If we then save it, restart the game, this will work. And of course, you have to go through all these. We have the burnt forest, desert, snow, and the wasteland. So there's quite a bit of editing you have to do for this. And the pro of doing it this way means that you don't have to do anything else. You just make these changes, start the game, and everything will work. Make sure you don't do anything wrong, such as deleting anything else in the file, because then it will stop working. It's the easiest way. The problem is, as I mentioned, is if the game is updating to, let's say, alpha 21.2, these changes will be wiped out because the whole game will be reinstalled with the updated files, meaning that it will not be your edited file anymore. So quick and easy, but doesn't last through upgrades. So there's a better way of doing it. Better way is to create yourself a mods folder in the 7 days to die that we navigated to before. And this is what allows us to load in a modlet or mod. So we create this folder if it's not there, and then you create another folder that basically is the name of your mod. So mine is called increased spawning. We go in here, we need a couple of files in order to just tell the game what this is all about. So the first one is modinfo.xml, so I'm going to edit this one and show what it is. And it looks something like this. You don't have to specifically understand everything, except that name is of course the name of your mod. This is a display name, I just usually do the same. You have the description that tells just what does it do. Author, you probably, if you're doing it yourself. The version, I like to do it based on what is actually should be something like this because it's alpha 21. So let me change that to that. And it's now alpha 21.1. Simple enough. Website. This is my website for my YouTube channel. And save it. Keep this one here. And we need a folder that is called config. This is where your spawned.xml. And you might be thinking, hey, is this the same as the other spawning? Not exactly. We're going to edit it. And we'll see that to some degree it looks similar. What this one basically does, it will modify the main spawning.xml file. So it's not that file itself, but it's attempting to modify it at runtime when it's loaded in. And this is the general format, and what it basically says is that, hey, I'm going to remove anything that is under spawn under the pine forest. And the spawn is basically all these lines that are in the main file. So first it removes them, which means that there's no spawning at all. But then what we do, we add it back in, and we add in with our own changes. So I'm doing a max count of 2. I'm doing a respawn delay of 0.75 days, and I've done that for all of the ones under the pine forest. And then I do the same thing for burnt forest. I do the same thing for desert. I do the same thing for snow. And I do the same thing for wasteland. You can see the pattern right. It basically starts by removing all the spawn information that is there, and then it adds on by appending our new changed configurations. So this is fairly straightforward, simply by copying in the previous ones out of this from the other file and making it changes. Now, if you are making this modlet by yourself, I'm going to scroll through very slowly here just to let you see it. It's pretty straightforward. Just pause the video if you need to type up what's there. It's pretty straightforward. But after we save this and we start the game, we will end up with something like this. Well, maybe not this much because I boosted my file even more. The good thing about having a modlet is that if the game version updates from alpha 21.2 or 3 or 4 or whatever, your modlet likely still works and you don't have to make any changes. You just upgrade to alpha 21.2, start the game, and your modlet is still active. So you don't have to keep making the changes every single version. So that's number 1. And number 2, what's the easiest way? Well, the easiest is simply to download the mod because I've already made it. So you go to this address and I'll link it in the description, and you'll come up with something like this. You hit manual download, and you scroll down and you can do mod manager, which is their Vortex. You don't need to do that. Manual is fine. Hit manual download. It'll pop up another screen where it says, well, you probably need to log in and create an account if you haven't already. It's free. Don't worry. It'll try to push you to subscribe to a premium, which gives you a higher download speed, blah, blah, blah. Doesn't matter because this is a really small modlet. Just use the free one, create your account, and do a slow download, and it will allow you to download it to your hard disk. I just save it on C and 72D. Easy enough. Click save. You can donate if you want to support my work. Not needed, but it's of course appreciated. Once that is done, you go back to having these 2 folders. One with the downloaded ones that we just did, and another with our mod folder inside the game files that we just opened and step number 1. So we're going to go in here. What you do then, basically, you take your file, and depending on what you have installed, let's do an extract, and it'll ask you what to extract it into. If you just leave it like this and extract it, it will look like this, and you see there's the folder. Now what it does by default is that this is the folder, and inside is the actual modlet, and you don't want to have it nested like this because it will not work. It will not load. So what you have to do is go in, mark it, do a cut, come back up, and paste it. Now I already have this all obviously installed because as you can see it's running already, but you just put it in like it here. And that means that it will look like this, increase spawning, and bam, into the mod info and the config. If you have, like I said, if you have it nested like this, where it goes one step down, it will not work. Just copy it up. And that's all there is to it. It is also server safe, so if you run a dedicated server, put it on the server, and it will work. The clients will not need to install it. And in this case, I had bumped it up even more. I put basically 10 per area, and this is probably a little bit too much. But putting 2, maybe 3 per area, having a respawn delay of half a day, maybe 1 day, is probably a good balance between having just an empty world with 1 or 2 zombies that you as you move around, and having, well, too many. But having more than the default makes the game seem a lot more threatening, because the wilderness spawns normally will not kill you, but they'll put a little bit of that anxiety as you move around because there will be zombies around. And that's something that I love, and I think that if you run a server, your players will love you for it as well. Most of the players on my community server basically say that they feel it's a lot better by having more spawns. Not too many, but just enough. Hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, why not hit that like button? Why not subscribing, ringing the notification bell, and catching more of my videos? Have a wonderful day, wonderful evening. See you next time.